Good morning, everybody. I hope this one is working. Is it okay? Okay, thank you very much. I came here today on the invitation by TISA and the group, and to talk about intergovernmental relations. And so I wanted to prepare something like slides, paper, and so forth. But I said, let me come and speak today from my heart, the way I speak to people in the villages. First of all, you can't talk about intergovernmental relations in Kenya without reading Article 6 of the Constitution, which says that the government at the national and county level must conduct their relationship through consultation and cooperation. So the foundation of intergovernmental relations in Kenya is Article 6, subsection 3 of the Constitution, which is the consultation and cooperation. That is actually given flesh a little bit in Article 189 of the Constitution that talks about how the two levels of government are expected to relate. And then the Constitution gives the power to Parliament to enact a legislation to facilitate that intergovernmental relations. And that's why the Intergovernmental Relations Act was enacted for that purpose. And there are three key institutions that have been put in the Intergovernmental Relations Act to facilitate that intergovernmental relations. One is the Council of Governors, whose objective is basically to give a forum for the governors to discuss matters affecting counties and how they are going to relate among themselves, including dispute resolution. Two is the summit. The summit has the responsibility of bringing together the national and the county executives, in terms of bringing the president and the county governors to be able to come together, again, with an objective of consultation and cooperation. And I want to read a little bit that Intergovernmental Relations Act, what functions the summit is expected to perform. But even as I read article, sorry, one second. I need to quickly say that the third institution is the dispute resolution body, whose objective is when there is a dispute between the national and the counties, or the counties among themselves, they're expected to use the dispute resolution mechanism provided for under Section 30 of the Constitution, which emphasizes what the Chief Justice was talking about yesterday, about alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. In fact, it goes ahead to make very serious provision there that anyone who is going to look for any other mechanism will be criminally liable. I think that section is null and void to the best of my knowledge. So, of course, I'm not endorsing what the Chief Justice gave as an example. I'm giving the example of the opposite example of what he gave, that you can actually use churches to solve your problems, not witch doctors. But let me read the functions of the summit, because there is a reason why I want to read that, and we need to imagine why the summit is not functioning. Now, Section 8 says the role of the summit is consultation and cooperation between the national and county governments, promotion of national values and principles of governance, promotion of national cohesion and unity, consideration and promotion of matters of national interest, consideration of reports from other intergovernmental forums and bodies on matters affecting national interest, evaluating the performance of national and county governments and recommending appropriate actions, receiving progress reports and providing advice appropriate, monitoring and implementing national and county development plans, and recommending appropriate action, among others. So basically, Parliament enacted these legislations to make it possible for counties to consult and cooperate. But the institutions that have been created, whether it's the Council of Governors, or the Summit, or Parliament, we have changed the Constitution, Article 6, which talks about consultation and cooperation, and now we are talking about competition and confrontation without proper amendment. And there is a reason why these institutions are unable to operate. It's because they are run by human beings. Now, these human beings are expected to work together. When the national government meet together with the county governments and they agree on certain issues, or they have issues that they do not agree, they are not expected to talk at each other in barazas and funerals and markets and certain places. They were expected to meet at the summit and be able to consult together. But the people who are sitting in those institutions, some of them are very dishonest. And therefore, as a result of that, you've realized, and I want to say this, that's why I said I didn't want to come to a paper here, I just want to talk. The first few meetings that brought together national and county governments, I attended them. And I attended the meetings that discussed the issues of revenue. I attended the meetings that discussed about transfer of functions. I attended the meetings that dealt with issues of health. I even gave my opinion, and some of our colleagues here, there were people who were saying health should wait for another 3 years. And I said, as long as the function has been devolved, there was no mechanism of calling it back because there's no legal framework unless the counties and the national government agree. But I found it extremely dishonest that the leadership of the Council of Governors, once we finished that meetings, they would go out there and say, this government is anti-devolution. This government, so-and-so, is anti-devolution. And in fact, I have seen something here, you are talking about, oh, let's affirm that devolution must stay. Kwani devolution was going where? Why do we have to come here and tell ourselves devolution must stay? The Constitution already says devolution must stay. It is not negotiable. It's not debatable. You see this mentality of branding people, if you don't agree with your position, you say anti-devolution. If you want to steal public funds, you say anti-devolution. If you want to hide yourself from accountability, you say those people are anti-devolution. Is the real killer of devolution. Because as a tradition of our country, we like branding ourselves, dividing ourselves between this tribe or the other tribe. And now someone has taken the responsibility of creating the business of looking for individuals to call them pro or anti-devolution. The point is this: you can be anti-devolution as you want, but you can't do anything to our constitution unless ourselves as a people of Kenya amend it. So the policy space for us to discuss the different policy positions we have on implementation of the constitution is provided for in the constitution. One would say that we can transfer functions within 3 years or transfer it within the first year. I would stand for the position that perhaps we would transfer within 3 years. Another person stands with the position that transfer immediately. That is not anti-devolution or pro-devolution. The problem is that we have a spirit in this country of, instead of consultation and cooperation, we close debate. If you read newspaper articles, if you read presentations of individuals, they are presented without any opportunity for any other person to add value to that discussion. So someone just wakes up, he wills a particular act, he writes an article, paints other people this way, or shouts these people are like this, and then he closes the debate and goes home. The rest of the business is now for him to hammer and continue that business. So I want to tell you something, that the Council of Governors, the summit, the institutions that deal with intergovernmental relations are going nowhere as long as the people who are running them are confrontational individuals. Because institutions are as good as the people who are running them. That is the position. And in fact, if I was the president, I would have no business going again for a second meeting with a person whom, after we have agreed, he goes around there to bash me. There is no good faith. The point is, we must develop culture of allowing the institutions to debate, to discuss, to agree. You go to a meeting, an IBEG meeting, you go sit with the deputy president, you agree on the amount of money that goes to the counties. Then you walk out there and then go and announce that those counties are, those national governments are anti-devolution. You see, if we are not willing to interrogate those real issues that involve individuals who are running those institutions, then we will come back. Look, for example, the function of Senate. I've always said Senate is the only constitutional intergovernmental relations body. It's the one that has given mandate, literally, to deal with matters of counties and national government. But the problem is, we as a House have a mandate in Article 96. It talks about protection of county governments. We perform that protection of county government. We ensure that they get the functions they require. We ensure that they are protected from clawback mechanisms of returning the functions to county level. We complete the process of pushing for resources. We even call for a referendum. We go even to Supreme Court to look for an opinion. The second phase of our function says to oversight county governments. And I want to be very clear on this. If you read Article 226, 228 of the Constitution, it is the responsibility of the county assemblies to call what they are called the county accounting officers and put them to task in terms of how the resources are going to be accounted for. But the Constitution says we oversight the whole county. And Article 179 of the Constitution says the person in charge of the whole county is called the CEO of the county, which is the governor. It means for me that if we want to maintain a good relationship between Senate and county assemblies, we allow the county assemblies to take care of the county executive officers, to take care of the chief officers, to take care of the officers of the county government and hold them into accountable. But for us, we can only invite the chief executive officer to give us their position of accountability as a whole county. So there must be that also respect of this institution deals with this number of people, the Senate deals with these people. But there is a responsibility of oversight. When now we move to the oversight function of Senate, we become anti-devolution. So you come here, you come to a meeting or you go workplaces, you meet Morris on the way, he will tell you, you need to defend yourself. Why do you have to defend myself? I don't need to defend myself. The Constitution gave me the function to ensure that counties are accountable for resources allocated to them. And when the new cycle of financial allocation like this one comes, I will say the counties must get more money than even proposed by the governors and the president and the deputy themselves, because that's my responsibility. Once they get their money, I go back to ask, are those resources being used for the purpose that's being used? I was the vice chair of the Wambora committee. I have a right to discuss what I saw. I mean, really, you cannot tell me that we must be able to sit here and ensure that because, and this is the excuse we are being given, that, oh, you must not hold the counties accountable because you have not also held national government. Oh, why are you asking corruption in the counties and the national government has stolen more money? I want to tell you the truth. We are raising these issues about counties because we know the center is rotten. We know the bureaucracy in the center is rotten. We know the bureaucracy in terms of staff in the center is rotten. Why was it so? Because in 1963, we were told, oh, the government is still young. Let's give it time. Let's not hold it into account. We were told the government is still young. Let's not ask them about how they use the money. The government is still young. The president needs to hold the people together. Let's not ask when he allocates land. 50 years down the line, we have transitional justice institutions asking questions that would have been asked in the 1960s. Do you want our counties 20 years down the line to go back to ask the questions that Kipchumba should have asked when he was the first senator in his first term? We cannot allow that. We must be given a chance as an institution to also ask questions about accountability so that that corruption does not take root in the counties. I want to say this without fear of contradiction. When it comes to questions of whether the money goes to the counties, you have done so well as CSOs. When it comes to holding the counties accountable, I am shocked. We don't listen to your voice. We have not heard your voice. Counties are squandering public money. People are buying beds for 200,000. People are doing things that you can never imagine. Some governors are saying we will not be re-elected again in 2017. This is the only time to eat. Do you want that culture of time to eat to take root in our counties? Please. So that is why I'm here today to say we must allow institutions to hold the others accountable without waking up every morning and branding people, this is anti-devolution, this is pro-devolution. Each one of us must be able to allow to do its function. But let me say this to complete. I have suggested certain amendments to the Intergovernmental Relations Act, which I was actually supposed to go for the Legal Affairs meeting, which is discussing the proposals. One is to say that the summit as constituted, it says that the deputy president will just come in if the president is not there to chair. But it doesn't say the deputy president is a member. So I've said the deputy president be a member of the summit. But two, it does not say anything about the deputy governors. And yet the deputy governors step in for the governors. So I have introduced the 47 deputy governors to be the members of the summit. Three, the County Government Act does not even tell us what is the function of the governor. In the Embu case, let me use the example that we know which is public. Once the governor was elected, what did he do? He chased the deputy governor 1 kilometer away and brought the county secretary closer to him. That's why he was able to do whatever he did. Yeah, because someone who was compliant was closer. But if you look at the relationship between governors and deputies in our country, the governor and the deputy are actually running a coalition government. That's a fact. They may be in the same party, but none would have been elected without the other. In the Embu case, one was an Embu, the other was a Mbere. In the Nakuru case, one is a Kikuyu, the other is a Kalenjin. In the Bungoma case, one is a Luya, the other is from Sabaot. In the Naro case, one is a Maasai, the other one is a Kalenjin. And if you look at all these arrangements that were put in place, the objective of that arrangement was to bring together the communities, most cases dominant communities in that area, and form a semi-coalition thing. But once they elected, the governors chased their deputy governors far away. And so how do you hold a deputy governor accountable when you don't even know his functions? And I've said, we are lucky that the president and deputy for the first constitutional implementation are friends. But if it was not that they were friends, I am imagining that we would have had too many problems in terms of power struggles between the president and deputy. And that problem is happening in the county government, and that's why we have brought a legislation to amend that section to that effect. Third is that the council of the deputy governors need to have a forum also to have a discussion among themselves, and we are creating a forum for them so that they can have consultation and cooperation. Fourth is that the county assemblies have no legislative forum where they can be able to meet and to be able to discuss agendas and issues that are affecting them. So again, I've introduced that in that amendment. So it's important that we facilitate, that's our work, to do the legislation. But when we call for accountability, I want the people of Kenya to accept that we have no choice. We must push for that accountability. And if there is the only thing Kipchumba will do for the next 4 years to push, we can push for an accountable governance system at the local level where it's free from corruption. Last, let me just mention something that was mentioned here, which has nothing to do with intergovernmental relations. Before even I go to that, we need to appreciate what Wanjiru was saying here, that whereas there is legislated intergovernmental bodies, we have the other bodies like CIC, like all the constitutional commissions. The responsibility of those commissions is not to national government alone. It's also to county governments. So they are answerable to both levels of government. So they are intergovernmental in nature. Just like National Assembly and Senate perform functions that transcend the two levels of government in terms of legislation that can be implemented. And therefore, we must give them the support. We must give the Auditor General the support. He's mentioned his frustration about public officers national and county level. We know for the national one because we are you. The reason why I went for devolution is because we are tired with centralism. So we want to ensure that our counties are also supporting the control of budget. They're supporting the Auditor General as intergovernmental relations bodies that have or intergovernmental bodies that have responsibility to protect the Constitution and protect both levels of government. So that's my message for you. I have no defense to come and make here whether I support devolution or not. It is not my responsibility to announce whether I support devolution or not. It is actually, I have been ordered by the Constitution when I swore an oath of office that one of the reasons is to protect the Constitution, which includes devolution. So I don't need to recite it all the time. Unless for purpose of, if you are saying it's a religious thing, so I'm a Christian, so the first thing you start saying, praise the Lord, I am born again today, this morning. But the point is, if you are still a Christian, you are still born again. And if you are a senator, you will always be a protector and defender of Constitution, which includes devolution. So thank you and God bless.